Welcome in. It's episode number 43 of the St0ner Sports Radio Podcast. We are here. It is week 0. It is upon us. College football here this Saturday. We will give you all of our week 0 picks along with the picks for Thursday evening on the 31st, as we will not be live before then most likely. Joining me once again is friend and co-host of the St0ner Sports Radio Podcast, Zach Huffman. Zach, how are we doing on this Be Happy Friday? All on paper? That's wild. Yeah, I mean it's that's kind of how it goes for the most part normally, right? Yeah, you just end up making mistakes.
They were definitely going to have to make some trades going forward.
Yeah, that's probably bound to happen. I would expect. What are we thinking as far as week 0 goes? Obviously the big game coming up is obviously going to be the starter at 1:30 Central, 2:30 Eastern. It is in Ireland. It'll be 7:30 or 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central over there in Irishland. This is going to be supposedly a game where we're going to see some high-powered offense from Navy. The new head coach for the first time in 18 years, says they're going to throw the ball around a lot more than they have in the past. You might see the wishbone, you might not. I think we should see the wishbone. I think that they'll still kind of run it. But as for right now, what I've been hearing is that a lot of fans are kind of worried about Notre Dame maybe laying an egg with the layover. Yeah, they've got Sam Hartman, the Wake Forest transfer. So that'll be interesting to see how that all pans out.
I think we'll see the wishbone.
You think we'll see it at least over under 10 times? Over. Yeah, I think that's probably on par with we've been seeing. Sorry, I'm not getting any of your audio coming through, brother. It's coming through Discord. It's just not coming through OBS for some fucking reason. Which is weird. It was just working. Hello. Not good. Get this going a little bit. Talk to me, Zach.
The Sooners, they're gonna win 77-0. Um,
All right, talk to me now.
I'm gonna sweat my balls off over there in Gaylord Memorial.
So it's gonna have to be. It's gonna have to be like this. It's kind of rough, folks. So I apologize. We're trying our best over here to get this all sorted out. Um, but I can hear you now, so that's good. But back to what we were talking about here. What are your predictions here for Notre Dame? I mean, they're coming off this big flight, and Navy's got kind of a similar flight length, but they're a little closer than Indiana. You think that's going to factor in at all?
Yeah, I think it'll factor in a little bit, and it's kind of disadvantage Notre Dame. I'm expecting to see Navy cover the spread that you said. You said it was negative. Or minus 21, right? For Notre Dame.
Yeah, so the spread is minus 20 and a half. Minus 20 and a half. So not
Yeah.
even 3 touchdowns. Um, so we'll see how that all pans out, but I'm pretty sure that's how that's going to go.
I think they'll finish season final AP poll, maybe top 25. You see them in that 20 to 25 range.
Yeah, I mean we should see. I mean we should see a game that Notre Dame takes care of business, right? I mean this is not going to be something that I'm expecting is going to bring a lot of eyeballs, other than probably Notre Dame fans and Navy fans. But we're sickos, so I mean we're gonna tune in. We're sick bastards, so we're gonna be here. And I think that um, as far as all that's concerned, I think that you know we have a pretty good idea that this should be a 3 touchdown win for them if Sam Hartman is that guy, right? I mean he's supposed to be a Heisman contender. He was really good at Wake Forest. They just didn't have a defense to help him out, and that's why they lost most of their games. And then obviously, he gets injured at the end of the season last year, and so he doesn't play in a couple games. They lose those that he's not in there, which makes sense. And now here we are. So I mean, I think overall you're looking at a Navy team that has more questions than they have answers. New head coach, new offense. They're going to be throwing the ball around a lot more. Which is something to really take note of, because they haven't done that in the past. They've really just been a run 3 times and kind of punt it. They've run that option for so long out of the wishbone set for years, and so I think that having that aspect is going to throw a wrench in Notre Dame's kind of game plan, because there's no tape of this team playing like that. So that's going to be advantage Navy. What do you think about the first half of this game? Do you think that there's a chance that this game is pretty close at halftime and Notre Dame kind of takes it away in the second half, or do you think that this is just going to be all Notre Dame just from the jump?
No, I think it's going to be a close game in the first half, and then we'll see Notre Dame kind of take off a little bit. I'm not expecting a 3 touchdown win. I'm thinking like 17 points maybe. Um, I just don't think that Notre Dame's really got the offense like that. And yeah, Sam Hartman's he's a good quarterback, but do they really have the wide receivers that he needs to, or the weapons around him, even in the backfield, for him to generate any offense? And then I look at Navy, who is yeah, new offense, but it's consistently been a good like defense, and I think that they will be able to handle Notre Dame's offense pretty well. So I'm suspecting like 17 points, and I think Navy's gonna cover, which is what good teams do.
Yeah. If Notre Dame can win this game by 21, that'd probably be what you're looking at. I mean, I'm thinking, like you said, something like 38 to 17, something like that. I think you're probably right on the money with the 17 for Navy. Now, if Navy gets all 17 of those points in the first half, I'm not going to be surprised. And I think that Notre Dame could shut them out in the second half as well. I mean, I think the first quarter and the first in midway through the second, I think you'll be looking at kind of a low scoring affair, because again, you're talking about long travel. You're talking about two teams that really are not familiar with each other, and especially for Notre Dame not being familiar with the changes that Navy's made to their offensive approach. And for for Navy, I mean, you're just looking at more talent, obviously, across from you. You have some film of what they like to run as far as last year is concerned, but again, you got a better quarterback, so looking at probably most likely a lot fewer turnovers. Because remember, that was the thing last year for Notre Dame; they just kept turning the ball over, and that's how they will lose to Marshall. That's how you lose to USC. That's how you know some of these games where they were in it. Turnovers ended up being the thing that bit them.
Yep. Yep. Completely agree.
So other than that game, there's kind of a bunch of nobody, no games kind of in the middle. Some people are talking about Vandy, Hawaii. We're not going to waste time talking about that. The nightcap is USC and San Jose State. Now this one is obviously very heavily favored in the Trojans' direction here, a 31.5-point spread. Is that right? I might be misspeaking. It is 31.5 point spread in favor of the Trojans. Do you think they cover against the Spartans, or do you think this is going to be a game where, once again, Alex Grinch's defense allows the Spartans to kind of be more productive than they would be against a more stout defense?
You know what answer I'm going with here. Alex Grinch's defense is ass, and I think San Jose. You can fully expect the Spartans to be within that 31.5 range. No chance that Lincoln Riley's uh, horrible defensive rosters and horrible defensive coaches, you can expect them to give up at least 28, 35 points. Easy.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right here. I think you're right on the money. I think that if you look at the way this is going to go down, I think you're looking at a team in USC that is going to probably cover this spread, but only because you're looking at Caleb Williams and you're looking at this offense being able to put up as many points as they probably will want to against the Spartan defense. But I don't think it's gonna be. It might. Yeah, I think you might be right, Zach. I think this is probably maybe just a 31-point win. If they win by more than 31, it's gonna come late, and I think I think it's gonna come in garbage time if it gets to that point. But I'm expecting the first quarter to be highly competitive. I expect most of the second quarter to be highly competitive, and I expect the rest of it to be probably USC the rest of the way. But I'll be tuned in watching to see if Caleb Williams will have a good start to his season or if it'll be kind of a rocky start.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's a rocky start.
Yeah, I know you're hoping it's a rocky start for sure. As far as Thursday's games go, as we move on to that, you have Florida and Utah, and obviously a lot of people are going to tune into Graham Mertz versus Cam Rising. Utah a 7-point favorite in this game. Look, I mean, the Gators last year upset Utah in this very same situation. Any chance the Gators get it done again? I mean, this spread is pretty close.
I'm going Utah here. I'm a Utah believer. I'm a Ute fan, just because of what they do to USC, which I think they're going to do again this year. I'm a big Ute fan. I'm pretty sure I picked Utah to beat Florida here when we went over the conference wins.
The SEC,
I'm going Utah.
I mean, look, it should be Utah, right? And that's what we thought last year. I mean, last year we were like, look, it's Utah. There's no way it's not Utah. It's got to be, has to be, should be. And what ended up happening was Anthony Richardson and company got the job done. And obviously, Florida's season ended up being pretty decent. But it obviously wasn't like magical or anything, but it was a good start for them. And I kind of see them in the same position Florida State's in with playing LSU week 1 again. Because, I mean, Florida State won that game off of a missed extra point, technically, from LSU. They shanked the short field goal, and then that was kind of it. A lot of people think that Florida State's not going to have a good shot this year at that, which I highly disagree with, considering where a lot of these preseason polls have the Seminoles. But like I said, the Gators are kind of in that same situation, right? Where they're like, oh, well, they got them last year, but I don't think they're going to get them this year. And I kind of agree with you. I mean, that's what I would like to see happen. Do you think this game is going to be a 7-point game? You think this game is going to be close, or you think that this is one of those where Graham Mertz is not the answer, and we're going to find that out pretty early on this year that he's it wasn't Wisconsin that was a problem. It might have been a him problem.
Yeah, I think that is the case. I'd pick Utah by about 14 right now. If I were if I were betting on this right now, I would probably say that Florida wouldn't be able to cover a 14.5 point spread.
I like that. I have a problem with that. I mean, it's hard to argue that considering what we know about Utah and what we know about Florida at this point. The other game that's going on at the same time, actually, this is going to be one of those where you're going to have two screens going at once here. Minnesota and Nebraska. Minnesota is 7.5 point favorite over Matt Rule and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. What are your thoughts on that game?
Pretty sure I went Nebraska here. When we picked, so I'm staying Nebraska. I think Nebraska and Matt Rule. I mean, obviously, it's going to take him a couple years to really develop Nebraska's program and get it to a level where it could contend maybe even in the Big Ten. But Nebraska right now not going to win that many games, but do think they get the job done against Minnesota. I'm not a Minnesota believer this year.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on this. I think the Cornhuskers probably get it done. I mean, Minnesota's a decent team, but I think, like you said, when we both talked about the Big Ten and we talked about these games, these win totals, I think we gave Nebraska a lot of credit because of the Matt Rule factor, right? I mean, if they
Yeah,
don't have more talent, they've got a better coach right now than Minnesota has. Obviously, you have some players there. It's not like Nebraska is void of talent. I think that this spread is probably correct here as far as the amount, but I think it swings the other way. I think Nebraska should probably
yeah,
be favored here by a touchdown and a half. I mean, if Nebraska can win by 10, that'd be great for them. Um, but I think it's going to have to come down to the defense, right? I mean, the defense is going to have to get stops against Minnesota. If you can't get stops, you're going to be in trouble. The last thing you want if you're Minnesota is to turn the ball over a ton against Cornhuskers, because I think Matt Rule can orchestrate this offense in a way where they're going to be able to get points easier than they were able to last year.
yeah. I agree. Matt Rule's going to do a great job of just getting offense without a lot of talent. He's going to get yards, and I think that's going to translate, especially in these games with close talent, but not really close coaching talent, like this game against Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see how Minnesota can hang with the coaching credentials of Matt Rule, and I think that this spread is wrong. I think that I would be surprised if Minnesota ran away with this. I know that Nebraska is disappointed in the past. I don't think we will see a onside kick at halftime like Scott Frost tried to do last year. Um, I think that this is a different Nebraska team, and I think that they get the W here next week on Thursday.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Um, let's move on here. So NFL news coming through the pipeline here before we started here. Trey Lance being traded to Dallas from San Francisco. Go ahead as the resident Dallas Cowboys fan here. Let me get your thoughts on this trade, and who do you think won this trade? Who do you think lost this trade? And is this a move that's trying to give Dallas fans confidence that if Dak doesn't do well, they got somebody behind him that they feel like could take his spot if he ends up just continuing to decline and throwing too many picks?
Let me make sure I get the correct details of this draft here. My initial reaction is Trey Lance is QB3 in Dallas. Um, why did we trade a mid-round pick for him? I don't know. It's a fourth rounder. Why would we trade a fourth round pick for Trey Lance? That's what I want answers for. I guess we're going to be trying to trade Dak Prescott, which I'm not opposed to, but I would like to trade him for another quarterback if I could, or at least like a first round pick. So I guess I don't really know why we need Trey Lance, why we got him, why we sent a fourth round pick for him when we could use that for a lot of other things. We could package that with that to get better options. Like I don't. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Jerry Jones is old. He is senile. And I am ready for him to either sell the Cowboys and or
Yeah, I
die.
mean, I don't think that that's a far fetched thought for a lot of Dallas fans. I think they're kind of getting tired of of Jerry Jones and what he's been doing to the franchise over the last decade, probably.
Yeah, it's an
Now my
abusive relationship.
yeah, now
Like
my question,
that's
yeah, my question is this: is do you think this was more of other teams wouldn't give San Francisco better than a fifth or sixth round pick, or like multiple picks in the fifth or sixth round for Trey Lance? Because to me, it seems like the 49ers wanted him gone more than a team needed to pick him up. You know what I'm saying? Is that, can I be right
yeah.
about that? I mean, because I mean, I don't know what other teams out there would benefit from having Trey Lance on their roster right now? Can you think of one that you would think
The
of missed
Buccaneers,
out? Bucks. I mean,
backup Baker. Yeah, why not?
yeah. I mean, but as I said, maybe they didn't want to offer anything better than a fourth rounder. I mean, maybe Dallas was like,
Yeah.
fine, we'll give you a fourth rounder, and they said, fine, we'll begrudgingly do this, and we just need him out of here. You think that speaks more about the quarterback situation in San Francisco, though? I mean, what are your thoughts on them shipping out Trey Lance after having him play a couple games last year before he got hurt, and Brock Purdy got thrown in there, and now Purdy's the starter, and he's got Sam Darnold backing him up now. I mean, is this more of North Dakota State quarterbacks can't play in the NFL? I mean, we saw how Carson Wentz turned out. He had one good year and then was all downhill from there. He's not even on a team right now. I mean, is this just something that proves that North Dakota State can't provide good quarterback play in the NFL?
Yeah, no, I think yeah, hit it on the head. I think what we're seeing right now is one of the consequences of a little bit more parity in college football is these group of five quarterbacks getting more chances. Um, Come on, like I don't need these FCS teams out here getting drafted number three overall. I don't, Carson Wentz kind of opened the door there, and yeah, he had a good MVP type season. If he probably would have won the Super Bowl the same if Nick didn't come in there and win that Super Bowl MVP. But um, yeah, I mean, I hate that we had to be the team to get him. Like I don't think he's going to be in the NFL 2 years from now. So I don't know why we had to go get him and why we had to give up a fourth round pick to go get him. Um, yeah, I mean, as a Cowboys fan, this is what I'm used to. I'm used to these inexplicable trades that make no sense, and I'm just kind of I'm growing comfortable with disappointment.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those things where, as far as being able to you know open the door for FCS quarterbacks, definitely Carson Wentz probably did that. You could say Tony Romo really did that. You could even probably say Joe Flacco probably did that. I mean, there have been FCS quarterbacks that have been decent, um, but just Trey Lance isn't one of those, right? I mean, that's just kind of the bottom line, right? I mean, he's just not that
Yeah.
guy, and as talented as he is as an athlete, and as mobile as he is as a quarterback, I mean, I just think that the 49ers have found their quarterback with Brock Purdy, which kind of surprises me because you get rid of Jimmy G. People are like, what are you doing? Jimmy G was supposedly supposed to be so good, and he, played so well for them in general. I mean, he never played terrible for the 49ers. He wasn't something that was like, oh God, it's Jimmy G taking the field. Like, he was good. And I feel like last year, do you think this could possibly be setting Brock Purdy up for failure? I mean, think about this, Zach. You had a defense that was like all-time great last year for the 49ers, like one of the best defenses that we have seen in probably the last 10, 15 years. I mean, and I'm not exaggerating. I think you would agree with that. Um,
Yeah.
I think that anybody that got drafted in the quarterback spot in the first or second round could have led the 49ers to where they got to at the end of that season. I think that it was highly possible that Brock Purdy might be a product of a really good defense and not so much as, being the guy that shows up and proves that, yeah, he's got, the magic sauce or whatever. I mean, I don't think that he didn't really impress me. You know what I'm saying? Like, Brock Purdy didn't impress me. He
Yeah.
didn't wow me. He was game manager-esque. He was giving Alex Smith. He was giving Matt Castle. Like, I mean, those were the kind of guys he was kind of giving as far as energy goes. Do you think that this could be setting him up for failure? Because obviously this defense is probably not going to be as good this year. Do you think that this is going to be one of those things where he gets exposed as a seventh round pick?
Not necessarily. I think Brock Purdy is just as good as any of those other guys. Like I think, you know, he definitely reminds me of kind of that career backup, but could be a starter role. Kind of like Jimmy G, kind of a career backup, but really is a starter on worse teams. Um, after watching Brock Purdy at Iowa State, he's obviously a career game manager type quarterback. He was good, pretty good at Iowa State. He's set a lot of records there. He helped, get them to bowl games. He, beat OU. That hurt. Um, but one thing I'll say about Brock Purdy is I've always been a believer that he would be good in the NFL, and I think that he's going to be just one of the most mid quarterbacks ever, but in a good way, because he's going to be that career backup. I think that he can lead them to a Super Bowl appearance, not necessarily lead them, but not mess it up, along the way. Um, what if that translates to a Super Bowl win? I mean, it wouldn't be really his doing. I doubt he would win like Super Bowl MVP or anything. So um, I'm a believer in him. I hope that he, could win a few games. I don't, but I think I might agree with you a little bit that he's probably going to get exposed in a lot of key moments, especially if it comes down to him making a throw versus not making a throw to win a game. I think we'll see. But I do think that Kyle Shanahan has the defensive coaching ability and um, just the head coaching ability really to be able to ensure that they win at least, I would say, 10 games.
Yeah, I mean, do you think we'll see Sam Darnold at all this year? Do you think that it'll get to the point where Sam will have to take over this role as the starting quarterback at halfway through the season or later on, or do you think that Brock Purdy has the opportunity to continue to be the number one guy throughout the whole entire season? Because to me, it seems like you got Sam Darnold, who was also a starter in Carolina for quite some time, also obviously got a shot in New York with the Jets as the starting guy. Didn't really pan out. Didn't really pan out in Carolina. Even though I don't think he really did anything in Carolina to really warrant him to be like traded the way he was, but like they needed to
Yeah.
make room somehow, and I think it was more of that kind of thing where it was like, well, we've got enough of these guys, and he's not super special. But Sam Darnold in college, you would say, was definitely a better quarterback than Brock Purdy, right?
Yeah, probably. But I mean, I'm not a Sam Darnold believer whatsoever. I've always thought he was pretty bad. He can't stop throwing to the other team. Um, I, he's a good quarterback too. If you're backing up Brock Purdy on a normal roster, he's quarterback three. So I don't love the quarterback room in San Francisco right now. I think it was a mistake getting rid of Jimmy G. I think we should have kept him. He's probably still quarterback one, in my opinion. I get that you kind of have to let Brock Purdy take the reins now after he led you to those playoff wins, but I'm still confident that Jimmy G is the better option if they're talking about going to a Super Bowl and trying to win it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that right now, what you're seeing is 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 probably correct, right? I mean, you're seeing, you know, them making the right decision, right? I mean, Brock Purdy is definitely the guy that you want taking the snaps right now. I don't have a problem with Sam Darnold being the backup. I just wanted to see if maybe you thought that at some point we would see him overtake the reins of Brock Purdy. You don't see that happening, though.
No, I don't see that happening whatsoever. I mean, if Brock Purdy throws 4 interceptions in the first half,
You don't think he would be?
no, I think if Brock Purdy throws 4 interceptions in the first half, Sam Darnold throws 5 in the second.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I I, I really don't. I mean, I think that's I think that's a pretty fair analysis. So I think that kind of wraps up kind of who we thought won this trade, who we think lost this trade, what we think as far as where these guys are going to pan out as far as the rest of the season goes on. Let's step back into the realm of college football. Oop, that is a wrong window, brother. Um, we are going to step back into college football. So we had some new jerseys drop for Arizona State today, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this as I bring this over here. Here's the picture, folks. It is, as you can tell, on the left side of this image is orange numbers with a white trim, white Pac-12 logo, white Adidas logo, and then next to it, it looks like a highlighter yellow, greenish, glow in the dark kind of thing. And that's what's going to happen is Arizona State is going to wear these against Colorado. They're glow in the dark uniforms. I'm not particularly a fan of this, considering the highlighter green or yellow, whatever you want to call it, kind of clashes with that bright orange. What are your thoughts on the Sun Devils trying something a little different here, Zach?
Garbage. Now, if they weren't lit up, in the normal, just like not glow in the dark ones, those would be great Oklahoma State uniforms.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't scream Arizona State to me.
Does not scream Arizona State to me whatsoever, and the glow in the dark makes it way worse. I'm just not a fan whatsoever. I mean, it's disgusting, honestly, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean,
I hope that I just don't want to see them play at night, but you know that they're going to, and you know they're going to play at a time where it goes from like first half is sunset and then second half's at night. Like, no, it's going to be horrible.
Yeah, probably not something that I am going to want to see them wear. So now it's time for what we like to call a new segment. New segment coming at you fast here, and we'll get it set up and we'll give you our thoughts. It's Who's Drinking All the Kool-Aid?
You want some Kool-Aid?
Man, you know I want some Kool-Aid.
Show the love, bub, drink the Kool-Aid. It ain't the end, baby, it's a new day. Future's so bright, I bought some new shades. Toast that, bottoms up, drink the Kool-Aid.
So who is drinking the Kool-Aid? Today we have one of our favorite Kool-Aid drinkers of recent times. It's at Rambo Mizzou, who believes that this team is on track for possibly a 10-2 record, if not better. He thinks they're going to be 5-0 by week 5. What are you? Is he drinking the Kool-Aid, Zach? Is this a guy who's chug-a-lugging the Kool-Aid 110%, or are we in the wrong for bashing this guy for thinking that his Missouri Tigers are going to be 5-0 heading into this year?
Yeah, I would just like to start off by apologizing for overreacting to statements made by someone who is from a poverty program, because these are typical poverty program activities. Me being a blue blood fan of Oklahoma, come from a space of higher intellect than a simple Mizzou fan who is only used to poverty and only that, as in thinking that a 6-7 season is something that they should be proud of. Also, I think that Mizzou fans should realize that the numbers speak for themselves. You have 0 natties. You also have 0 relevance. So that's how I'd like to start off, by apologizing for engaging with such a poverty program mindset. Now, about the team, I think Mizzou fans forget that the recruit that they got is not playing this year. So I don't know where these wins are coming from, especially considering that the quarterback situation is down to 2 guys a week before the season starts. We're still at 3. Okay, so we got 3 quarterbacks. We don't know who's going to play. We got about a week until game 1. What's going on in Mizzou? Poverty program activities are going on in Mizzou. So I'm expecting that this team's probably going to be like 3-2 in week 5, and they'll probably finish the season 5-7.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a person who is chugging the Kool-Aid, folks. They have drinking the yellow Kool-Aid, the gold Kool-Aid, whatever color Mizzou's Kool-Aid is. They are chug-a-lugging that bitch. And I mean, 10-2 is obviously not going to happen for Missouri. I don't think 15-0 is happening. I don't think this is a surprise team in the SEC. I don't think they're finishing third. I don't think this is, the year that we see the Missouri Tigers come from the depths of the SEC to make an appearance in the SEC title game. I don't think this is the year, Zach. And I said, and we both agreed, that they would be lucky to win 5 games all year. Could they start 5-0? It's possible, but we know what the roadblock is, right? The 4th game of the year for them is Kansas State. And, a lot of people think Kansas State might win the Big 12 this year. And that's not as crazy as a thought as it is for Missouri to end up being in the SEC title game this year. Because God forbid someone gives the Tigers that kind of capital, because no one has really picked them to be that good. They're basement dwellers in their division. They're basement dwellers in the SEC, and they'll be lucky if they go 5-7 or 5-8, whatever you want to call it. They're not making a bowl game.
Yeah, no bowl game for them. They're not going bowling. Bowling is something that poverty franchises or poverty programs do not do. They went bowling once because it was like a little school field trip, but they don't get to go every year because they suck.
Yeah. So he said he'll see us in week 5 when they're 5-0. I say have fun drinking the Kool-Aid, folks.
Man, you know I want some Kool-Aid.
Show the love, bub, drink the Kool-Aid. It ain't the end, baby, it's a new day. Future's so bright, I bought some new shades. Toast that, bottoms up, drink the Kool-Aid.
All right, so that is the new segment. We'll have more Kool-Aid for you as the season goes on. We'll let you know which fans are just completely unhinged. That one is definitely unhinged. Before we start with our week 0 bets here, I had something pop up on my Yahoo sports feed today. It was a picture of the 2008, I believe, Team USA basketball team, and they said if you can't name everybody in this picture, you don't know ball. Now, Zach and I missed one, which was the third person here from left to right here, in between Dwight Howard and CP3 here. I did not get this right. Zach got all of it right for the most part. I
missed number 14 there.
Yeah, that which is kind of surprising to me, because I don't know a lot of players that are that lanky and that pale. That would have been as good as this
slipped my mind.
Mid-range defensive monster is, wearing 14 right there. So go ahead, Zach, and give us from left to right who we've got right in front of us here.
All right. So we got Carlos Boozer, Chris Paul, Michael Redd. That's going to be the one that gets people. We got that guy number 6. Not sure who that guy is. Then we got Dwight Howard. Then we got Jason Kidd, Dwayne Wade, and this is the guy that got me, Tayshaun Prince. And then we got Kobe Bean Bryant, Chris Bosh, Carmelo Anthony, and Darren Williams.
Yeah,
legendary team.
And you're not wrong. Great team. But you talked about this, and if you are, I would say if you are 20 years old or younger, maybe I might give you 25 years, or younger, you probably wouldn't get all of them, right? Obviously, I think the 3 that you probably wouldn't get would be Michael Redd. Yeah, you might not get, because Dwayne Wade looked a little weird in the middle there. I mean, it didn't look to me like Dwayne Wade. I was about to say Kemba Walker when I first saw it, because I was like, it was giving Kemba, but I was like, no.
Ron here.
And then maybe Darren Williams, because he has not been in the league for quite some time, and I mean, the last team he played for was the Brooklyn Nets. He's
a legend now. You should be able to get that. He's a legend.
I mean, you should be able to, but I mean, I feel like unless you're a really young lad or lass, I think you should get most of these. If you miss Michael Redd, I'm not gonna lock you up and say you don't know ball, because I mean, again, he's a great shooter, but I can understand not getting that. I think you agree on that, right?
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think you can miss if you miss Michael Redd or even Tayshaun Prince. Like, I'm not throwing you in jail, but you should get at least 10 of those guys.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a solid ask for anybody who's followed the NBA for 10 or more years. I think you should get 95% of those guys that are right there in that picture easily.
Pretty easy.
So let's wrap this puppy up, brother. So let's go ahead and give our bets here. So as you know, we start off with $100 every season, and we build our way, or we don't build our way to a record. It's back on the clock here as we have taken months off of doing this, and Zach is back and ready to go here.
I did so bad last season, so bad. Like when we were talking, I mean, I would love to know my record if you still have it.
I have it. We have not gotten rid of your record, Zach. I have it actually right in front of me. You are the third column here. So as of right now, not looking great. 5-19 as we reach back into last year. 5-19, not great.
That's
not
terrible.
Great.
I'm hitting like 25%. Isn't that right? What is that? 25%?
Yeah. So I mean, so the last time we made picks
20?
was obviously in the NBA playoffs, and you actually did pretty well. You did 3-1 in your last time doing picks. You went 2-1 for your locks of the week. Now obviously the last two times before that you went 0 for 9, so that didn't help you out at all.
Jesus Christ!
And then the time before that you went 2-3 and 0-3 in your locks. So you had two good episodes. All right, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I mean,
baseball
2 out of 6. Two episodes out of the 6 times you've made picks. You've been great. You've been great.
Baseball that got me, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't go that specific with what I've got in front of me, but I guarantee you it wasn't great. And as everybody here knows, I'm 81. I finished 81-73, so I was only 8 games over 500 in my last last 5 episodes that I picked. I didn't do well at all. I went from being 19 games over 500 to being 8 games over 500. So we've been on a bad streak, folks. But just know that last year you made money. All right, if you followed me, you made money. If you followed Zach, you're in the hole, and the mafia is coming for your hands. They're gonna leave him in the middle of the freeway.
We're climbing back this season. We're doing things that I know now. This is my bread and butter here. Like I'm ready for this.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and say before the season starts, I'm betting on OU every time.
So
Lock of the week every week.
All right, so here's how this is going to go. Obviously, we have 4 games we're picking this week because there's only 4 games we feel like are relevant. So go ahead and tell me for this Notre Dame and Navy score. Notre Dame minus 20.5. Are we picking Navy plus 20.5? What and how much are we putting on this out of the $100 you got allotted to you right now, sir?
Go ahead and put a 20 on Navy to cover.
All right, 20 on Navy to cover. All right.
I'm gonna regret that.
And go ahead and give me your pick for San Jose State and USC. USC minus the 31.5.
Go ahead and say San Jose State's gonna cover as well.
How much you want to put on that? Yeah, 80 left.
Let me throw 15 on that.
15. Okay. I like the conservative nature here. We're going conservative here. Florida and Utah. Utah minus 7 against the Gators.
I'm gonna go ahead and take Utah there, and throw 30 on that.
All right, I like that.
And that's you can put that down as a lock of the week already. Utah is going to beat them by more than 7.
Oh baby! All right. And then last one we've got is Nebraska and Minnesota. Minnesota minus 7.5 against the Cornhuskers.
I would pick Cornhuskers. I would pick Cornhuskers minus 7.5 right now. So give me Nebraska. Throw a 40 on that.
Got 35 left, so we're gonna throw
Throw
35
a 35 on that.
So right now, confidence-wise, we're most confident in the Cornhuskers. Obviously, with this, if you were to do this as a 4-leg parlay, you're looking at a $1,300 payday if all this goes according to plan. Individually, right here, you're not looking too bad as well. With Navy, if you bet 20 on that, you're looking at a $38 win. San Jose State with 15, you're looking at a $28 payout. And Utah with -7 with $30, looking at a $57 payout. And Nebraska with $35, looking at a $66 payout. But obviously, if you parlay it, like I said, $13.28 is what you're looking at for that as we move on here. So I'm gonna give you mine, folks. We're gonna do this real quick, and I'll give you mine. As far as Notre Dame and Navy goes, you know what, I'm a Sam Hartman believer, right? I mean, I liked him at Wake Forest a lot, and as much as Navy's got new stuff they're showing, you know, I think that overall, we are looking at, man, this is, I think I'm gonna take the other side of this. I think I'm gonna take Notre Dame. I think I'm going to take Notre Dame minus the 20.5, and I think I'm gonna put 30. I think I'm gonna put 30 on that. I think Notre Dame minus 20.5 is not crazy. For the second game, San Jose State USC, give me the Spartans. I like the Spartans. I'm gonna throw 15 on that as well. I think that 31.5 is a reasonable spread, but I think that, again, this comes down to turnovers. If USC's defense can cause turnovers, then obviously the Spartans are dead in the water. But you have to understand, last year they had a historic amount of turnovers that they got handed to them technically by their opponents, and I don't think that they are going to get that much help this season. So I think that, you know, could USC win this by 31? Yes, but they won't win it by more than that. So give me San Jose State, $15 there. That leaves me with 55 left. For the Utah and Florida game, give me Utah minus the 7. I think they get the job done. I'm going to head and go put 30 on that as well. And for Nebraska and Minnesota, give me Nebraska plus the 7.5. I think, like you said, this is probably a wrong spread. I'm going to put 25 on that to pan this one out. So there you have it. If you do what I've got here, it's not, I mean, it's still, I mean, we're looking at the same amount here. Looking at the same amount of win total for both of us would be $1,328 for both of us. Obviously, just the biggest difference here is Notre Dame minus the 20.5. The rest of it is the same for us. So, I mean, not a lot of disputes here. As far as locks of the week go, you have Nebraska as a lock of the week. What about, since there's only 4 games, I'm not going to do 3 of them. Let's just do 2. So Nebraska's 1, and what's going to be your other one?
Utah.
So Nebraska and Utah are Zach's locks of the week. For me, I am going to do Nebraska as well, and I am going to do Notre Dame as my lock. So we will have Nebraska and Notre Dame for me as my lock. I think Sam Hartman gets the job done. So there you have it, folks. We have got this episode in the books. We have given you all the content you need to make smart, educated decisions for yourself as we head into week 0 here before a huge week 1. And we will see you guys as soon as we can before next Saturday. Might be Friday again. We don't know. We're going to keep in touch with each other and get together as soon as we can after these games roll through. Zach, any last words before we get out of here?
Don't bet on USC.
Don't bet on USC. You heard it here from Zach. Don't bet on USC. Bet against them all year long. We're For Will Warner and Zach
They
Huffman,
deserve
this
it.
has been Stoner Sports Radio episode number 43. And keep stick on the ice, folks.